Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Did I cut my own hair? Yes. Do I actually really like it? No, I absolutely hate it. But this is our situation now. Lockdown has me shaving off the sides of my head for some reason. Let's just get on with business, shall we? What I thought I'll do for you guys today, I thought would be quite interesting. I want to take a look at a YouTuber's one of their first makeup videos, and then their kind of more recent makeup videos. So it's kind of a reaction video with a little bit of a difference. What I want to see is how their makeup has changed depending on products that have come out, depending on trends, depending on lighting, depending on their professional setup, everything like that, and see if what they said back then still applies to now, or if they've completely changed it up, everything like that. So what I've done, I've chosen Jaclyn Hill because in my mind, I don't know many beauty YouTubers as well as I probably should, but in my mind she's been doing it for a very long time, so she would have one of the oldest videos, if that makes sense. So we're going to watch one of her earlier ones and we're going to watch one of her most recent. Just before we get into that today, if you guys don't know who I am, hi, my name is Robert. I'm a professional makeup artist here on YouTube and also in real life, and it's my goal here to help you become a pro yourself, or just someone who's really good at makeup. And sometimes that means separating what we see online and kind of comparing it to reality and what is kind of realistic and achievable. And I know some people may watch this and say there are no rules to makeup, so why does this video exist? I would say to that, creativity and individuality have no rules, but makeup most definitely has a theory. And these videos are for people who want to learn that. So if you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. If you do, this video is the video for you. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, then please consider subscribing. Okay, and also just before we get into that today, I just want to give another kind of disclosure. Disclosure? Doesn't that mean you're like revealing? No, I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. This video is all about the makeup. All about makeup. Nothing personal about Jaclyn Hill at all. I don't know her, you don't know her, or maybe you do, but you don't know her personally, so let's not comment on her life, her appearance, anything like that. Just about makeup, and in a constructive way. We're not going to sit here bitching, we're going to critique and be constructive, and we're going to learn from each other. Alright, let's do it. I'm going to shuffle this way so you guys can see my new haircut from the side. You know what I feel like? When you watch a film and like the world's ended and then like somebody wakes up from like a coma or something, and it's like this post-apocalyptic future, and for some reason everyone has a mohawk and they're wearing really crappy clothes. That's what I feel like today. Okay, so the first video we're going to watch is Fall Winter Makeup Look by Jaclyn Hill, and this is from the 10th of December 2011, so a long time ago. And this seems even longer in like makeup years, because there's a new trend every week and there's like a new trend every month, so this will be very interesting to watch. Let's have a look.
Hey everybody! So today's look is one of my absolute favorites. It's a deep dark like vampy lip with neutral kind of fair skin with a lot of highlight and contour. The eyes are kept really neutral, the eyebrows are much more bold than normal. I've been seeing this all over the runways for the past couple of months, and this is actually still going to continue to be a trend in spring of 2012, which is really fun. I know a lot of people are really scared to try a deep dark lip like this, but once you just force yourself to break out of your comfort zone, I feel like everybody can wear this. It's really beautiful.
I feel like looking at this look now, you're actually like, I feel like that's quite a tame look compared to what you see online nowadays, especially the lip. Back then, 2011, people didn't have brows that were this sculpted, and even using a lipstick that was slightly a bit colourful was quite like, quite like risking it all, but yeah, it's very true that this was like a bit of a what's it called? And a like dramatic look for back then.
Complements your skin tone. If you have blemishes and things that you want to hide and you wear a deep dark lip like this, it'll bring more attention to the lips and help not focus so much on the face. So I think it's a gorgeous look and it would look gorgeous on everybody. So if you want to know how I did it, then keep on watching. Bye guys! Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is taking a concealer, and this is Select Cover Up by MAC Cosmetics, and it's a good shade lighter than the rest of my skin tone, and that's going to help with our highlighting and contouring purposes. I'm using my fingers to apply it because the warmth from my fingers is going to emulsify it and help blend it, and I'm going to actually take it up into...
So you guys know how I feel about concealer on the lid, and for those of you who don't, the reason our eye makeup breaks down is because oil breaks down makeup. We use oil-based makeup remover to take off our eye makeup. So concealers actually have some moisture to them to help them grip to the skin. So to use moisture on top of a part of the skin that gets quite oily and can break down your makeup easy, concealer isn't the best thing to use. There are a lot of brands out there, one in particular, that have taken Select Cover Up from MAC, which is a discontinued concealer, and which is a great concealer, and they used to use it as an eye base, and they have kind of mimicked the formula to make it an eyeshadow base. And these are these eye bases where people are like, and you can use it as a concealer. It's like a 2-in-1, like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know what it's like. It's really, if you want longevity and even a better blend, eyeshadow bases are better. Using your finger, however, though, if this was an eyeshadow base, using your finger to warm up that product is a really, really great idea. I especially like to do that around my eyes on the inside corner here, where my skin is quite dry and dehydrated and product just grips to the skin. It's a really nice way to warm up that product to make it blend a lot nicer, easier. Is nicer a word? Yeah.
My eyebrow as well. That way the shadow that we use on there will really stay. So since we used a creamy concealer, I just lightly took a brush and went over that with a light powder. That way I could just keep it in place and none of this is going to run. And now I'm using Smolder Eye Pencil by MAC, which is a kohl liner, and I'm just dabbing it along my lash line, kind of tight lining it, not actually making a line as you can see, because we're going to go back.
She says she'll set it with powder, but I don't know if you can see how it's already slightly creasing, and it hasn't even been that long. Smolder Eye Pencil from MAC isn't... It's probably one of the most iconic black pencils, but there are other black pencils that are better. When Smolder smudges, and the same with a lot of black eye pencils, it gets this weird bluey, tattooey blue kind of colour from it. So a lot of people ask me why they're like, mascara, eyeliner kind of smudges, and a lot of the time it's because they're not using an eyeshadow primer and eyeshadow base, stopping oil from coming through. Oil can break through, smudge all of this, your lashes then act as a slide for that oil, and then it smudges all underneath. An eyeshadow base, even if you're not wearing eye makeup, even if you're just wearing mascara, even if you're just wearing eyeliner, instead of concealer, get an eyeshadow base that evens out the tone of your eye. Elf recently launched their putty eye primers, and they are really, really good. I have a review of them on my Full Face of Elf product. I use 2 different shades.
And with a brush and kind of smooth it out to give it a really airy, fluffy, flowy effect. I'm taking this small eyeliner brush, which is the number 208 by MAC, and I'm just running it tightly against my lash line. And as you can see, I'm pulling my eyelid taut just so that I can stay really low and not spread this up too high. Because this really isn't going to be a smoky eye, we're going to try to keep it neutral, so just try to keep that color far down as possible. Now I'm taking the color Shroom on a flat shader brush and putting it on the high point of my brow bone. I personally like to do this before I go in with my brow color and shape them. Now you want to take a neutral brown, not too warm and not too cool.
Do people still do the highlight under the brow? I actually quite like it. I think it's kind of nice. That's such an event times thing to do. This whole look, I'm smiling watching it because it is bringing back memories of just smudging black eye pencil everywhere, and that was it, you know?
Now I'm taking that same concealer that I used before in shade NW15, and I'm spreading it under my eye area. And I'm doing a V shape down my nose to the outer corner of my eye. And I'm using this in a lighter color because that V shape is really going to give a pretty highlight once we get that bronzer on our cheekbones. And just continue to blend into a...
Let's talk about what she's doing here. So she's doing that V shape, which a lot of people do now. But notice how much product she's using. She's not using that much. I don't like excessive product under the eyes. However, I wouldn't consider this excessive. It's blending really nicely. You can still kind of see her skin underneath. The difference between what she's doing here, blending in with her finger, which is warming up the product, which is making it a lot more smoother and a lot more blendable. The difference between what she's doing here versus what we do, what people do now, is they draw the product on and then they get a beauty blender and then they just tap that product into place. So you're not really blending it, you're kind of just pushing on it. Whereas what she's doing here is actually blending that on the face and actually pushing it into the skin, getting a really nice kind of texture that isn't too heavy. It's going to sit nicer under the eyes as well.
Avoid creasing throughout the day. Work from the outer corner and dab in, and then we'll set with a light powder and you won't be creasing at all.
Set with a light powder. And we won't see creasing at all. So I wonder what has changed in general, not just with Jaclyn, but from here, where all we did was a bit of concealer and a light powder and no creasing at all, to now why we have to bake.
I'm applying a medium coverage foundation now with this soft synthetic kabuki brush by Sigma. I prefer to use this brush over my fingers because it spreads the foundation so beautifully on my face. Now I'm taking a very light powder on a soft fluffy brush and going in that V motion again just to give a nice highlight and dimension. Now take that same eyeliner.
Foundation looks really, really nice. You can still see her skin. It's such a great tip to use a brush that's like has a big head like that, because it blends more. You still get really full coverage because it's dense. You know, you have that density there, but it buffs and blends really, really nicely. And did you see the powder she was using? I saw her. She must have dipped in the powder once and then did that area. Not excessive, not loads. And to be honest, it just looks exactly like how people do it now, but with less product used.
Now I'm just going to throw on a pair of false eyelashes. I chose some really long wispy ones for a flirty girly effect. I'm taking some black mascara and putting it right at the root of my lashes. This will help blend my natural lashes and my false ones together.
I'm loving how there's a reason for everything. This is why I'm doing this, because of this, and it's very clear what she's doing. I really, really like that.
I'm taking that 208 brush again and I put some Smolder eye pencil on it, and I'm going to go over my false lash line to keep that liner there and hide the glue. I'm taking a duo fiber brush and highlighting the tops of my cheekbones with the eyeshadow color in Nylon. Take that same shade and put it on your Cupid's bow and down the center of your nose. Now pack on that bronzer, bitch! I'm taking the shade Peaches by MAC, and it's a matte finish. Now make your fishy face and put it on the lower portion of your cheekbones and blend it up into your bronzer.
This is a really great placement of blusher for her. So, no, although she's sucking in her cheeks, of course, in this video here, she has really high cheekbones, and it's kind of like flatter here. By putting that blusher just here, you're plumping up those apples of her cheeks, so you get more of a plumper look and more consistent. And she's blended it really nicely into her bronzer without taking it all the way up. Really nice.
Now I'm taking the famous Orgasm Blush by NARS, and I'm just going to dab it on the apples of my cheeks to give a beautiful glow over top of that Peaches. I lined my lips with Burgundy Lip Pencil by MAC, then went over it with Diva Lipstick, which is a matte finish, and now I'm going back with that lip pencil just to touch up the edges.
Let me just tell you about bold lip colours and liner and things like that, especially with black. If you're going to do a black lipstick, what she said just here, line your lip, then apply the lipstick and then go back over with your liner, because you're going to get feathering, you're going to get a little bit uneven. Once that whole bold colour is there, then you can go in with a black, then you can go in with your pencil again and kind of sharpen it up. There's so many times when I see people wearing, it's mainly black lipstick or really dark colours, you get this kind of wobbly kind of finish. Go back in with your liner, don't be scared, it's not going to ruin anything, just go back in with your liner, shape it up.
Alright girls, you're all finished, have fun!
That was really nice. If that was a tutorial that I was to watch nowadays and react to, I would be very happy with that. I'll be like, oh, really nice. There was a lot of facts in there. That was nice to watch, and that was kind of like a bit of a blast from the past, because that is such a look that I remember doing on so many people. But it was like vampy, do you know what I mean? Like people are like, I want to go crazy, give me a burgundy lip. So let's jump to this year, and we're going to watch simple and easy everyday quarantine makeup.
So first things first that I always do for this easy makeup look, and I do for every look, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, is I prime my face. I personally, over the years, have become a very big believer in primer, and I definitely have recommendations for primers that I personally love, but I think that primer is very much like skincare in the sense that it is truly a person-to-person basis. What's gonna work for me might not work for you. It depends if you're oily, if you're dry, if you're combination, like what your issues are and what you're trying to achieve. Like if you're someone who your makeup does not stay on all
100%, and I say this a lot. So again, sorry for repetition, but I feel like a lot of people find that primers don't work for them because they don't shop for a primer correctly. They're not looking for the right kind of primer for them. Primers should be bought very specifically for your skin type. So it needs to benefit you in a way. One thing I really hate, especially having oily skin, is those more like silicone based primers. Although they're kind of marketed at people with oilier skin, apparently they're mattifying, all this other stuff. It doesn't work. It does not work. The thing, you kind of need to imagine it as like a layer on top of your skin. Silicone-based primers don't stop oil from coming through. They distribute oil evenly around the skin. So you're not necessarily getting like this mattifying finish. You're getting this really silky, weird finish. So if you do have an oilier skin, go for a primer that's more fluid-based, more watery in texture, and that has more of like an absorption like serum. If you have a drier skin, then go for balms. Go for things that have a little bit more of a slippy kind of texture.
This is not going to be like a full face routine. I am going to cover the whole face, but in a very different way than I normally do. I'm going to go in with Pat McGrath in the shade LM11 because I do have a spray tan on my body. It's wearing off on my face. As you can see, I'm like getting all pinky and rosy, but I do have a spray tan on my body. As you can clearly tell, this is rough, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to go in with this Hourglass brush right here. They sent this to me in PR a few weeks ago, and I've just really been liking it. And I will use my beauty sponge as well, but this has just kind of been my routine recently. I just kind of dab this all over the cheek area first, and then I'll go in and blend it out with my beauty sponge. This is not necessary. You do not have to use this brush first. You can go straight in with your beauty sponge or however you want to apply it. Honestly, dropping this and going with your fingers is another great alternative. I actually have done this quite a few times the past, I would say 2 months, because I have forgotten how well your fingers work on the skin. You know, they say that these are the natural makeup brushes that
I love how she said that, and we can see from her previous video that's a technique that she really, really likes. Again, a lot of concealer for that area. Jaclyn Hill is one of those typical influencers that have incredible skin but put on a lot of concealer, which is absolutely fine if that's what, you know, they want to do, that's the look. But her foundation's going to go on too. A lot of people do concealer before foundation. Here's how I feel about this. Concealer is great under the eyes before foundation if you are slightly color correcting. So you're color correcting your more warmer tone concealers to even out that tone underneath the eye. So then you can go in with your normal concealer if you just want the whole tone to be even, but just a tiny bit right here. Then go in with your foundation. And then if you need more coverage, then go with your concealer. See how much your foundation covers first. I feel like we could have got good coverage from a foundation in the cheek area and then concealed on top.
When you use your fingers, it just makes the product melt down into the skin so beautifully. So if you don't have brushes that you like, or if you can't afford brushes or whatever it may be, use your fingers to do your concealer and foundation. I did it for years and I loved it. So don't forget.
These parts of your hand, you know, the parts where you test like steak, I don't know, I don't cook, I think I just made that up. They're really good blush applicators. So you can literally just use that soft padded part of your hand to apply a little bit of blush or bronzer, so you're in a bit of a tricky situation.
Like, no lie, that looks freaking amazing on my under eye right now, and I just used my fingers to do that. So there you go. I'm gonna take that same shade and just drag it down here. Yes, what I am doing right now seems a little crazy because it's like, why not just use a foundation? Don't ask. This is just my way of doing things. I love using concealer all over my face, but a small amount. It's just, I don't know, there's something different about the formula of concealers all over the skin, and it's just a small amount of it that I love.
Bear in mind, if you're using a foundation or concealer on the face, when people apply it like this, you don't have to fill in every gap to get coverage. Remember, product blends and moves. So where she's done like this kind of like cross shape that's like this in the middle of her forehead, that would have been enough. You don't have to fill in every single area. I'm just thinking about saving product and you know, not overusing your product. Remember, product blends and moves. It's made to spread.
If I go on foundation, I immediately get too heavy-handed. Like, immediately. I can't control myself and I put so much on. But when I use...
One more thing I notice when people do this, you kind of can't keep track of skin texture. If you have dry flaky skin, if you have quite porous skin, if you have skin that's dehydrated and you have a lot of texture, putting this much product everywhere, there's kind of no going back unless you want to take it all off again. In your areas that are slightly textured, use a tiny bit at a time. You don't know how much product is going to aggravate that texture and how little product is going to not cover that texture. Do you know what I mean? So tiny bit at a time if you have textured areas of skin, and that means fine lines, pores, dry skin, anything like that.
But all right, I'm just gonna pick up this little buffer brush right here. This is the Morphe M449. I'm gonna use this to put on my bronzer. I'm gonna use the Chanel one just because it is so dang easy. So I'm just gonna roll that brush around, and I always have a paper towel when I'm doing my makeup, and I just dab off a little bit of the excess so that it's not too aggressive. And I'm just gonna take that and start to apply it from the tops of my cheekbones. I've always said it, you wanna start up by the top of your ear and start to bring it down towards the corner of your mouth. And same thing every time I go in.
The reason why being, if you, let me grab a brush, where you apply product, and it's the same with every product, be it eyeshadow, be it bronzer, blusher, where you, imagine dipping into your product and then tapping off, some people don't tap off, and then putting a brush down, where you initially place that product is where you're going to get the most colour payoff. So if you start here, you can blend it out, but you do run the risk of it being a little bit patchy. If you're a little bit darker up here, it doesn't matter so much because that's kind of the idea. You want it to be darker and then fade into light. So it is a really good technique. That's why we start like darker in the sockets of the eyelid. So starting up in these areas here is the best way to apply bronzer, highlighter, whatever. Don't apply highlighter up here, you know what I mean.
Up around the hairline, as always. I never forget this step. If you have a really small forehead, you don't have to do this. Like a tiny little forehead, like Kylie Jenner's forehead, you don't have to put bronzer up there. But if you've got a normal size forehead to a bigger forehead, always slap some bronzer on that bitch. Makes the face.
Absolutely. If you have a smaller forehead, you kind of do still want it to be consistent with the rest of your makeup because it's all going to be bronzed here and nothing here. Just go around the edges of your hairline, but keep it this way. Otherwise, it's shrinking the forehead in this way. Keep it right around the edges there, no more.
With a cream blush, I actually like to go closer to the nose than I typically would, especially when we're doing like a fresh look that I'm doing today, and we're not going to be focusing on the eyes much at all. I love that blush look, even if you sweep it across the...
I just want to point out while we're at this stage here, remember how her makeup looked in the previous video? I'm mainly talking about under the eyes, and we're bearing in mind like the camera, the lighting, all that kind of stuff. It kind of looks the same as it does here without using the same amount of product. That whole kind of a lot of concealer, and that is mainly because of the cameras. And to be fair to Jaclyn, she actually mentions this in the beginning of her video, how lighting kind of picks everything up, so you do have to go in a little bit more. But do just bear that in mind when you're watching tutorials that they are in front of lighting. I've done 2 videos where I show you, I turn all these lights off one by one. I remove like After Effects from my video so you can see how it kind of changes the video. I never use filters. I mean, like skin smoothing. I just make the video a bit bluer. So do bear in mind that people use a lot of products because of being on camera, because it does change everything. And even celebrities, when they go out and wear a lot of makeup, it's because they're going to get flashed by a camera, have their pictures taken by big flashes and all this kind of stuff. Sorry, I was going to powder my nose. So they're kind of expecting to be on camera and have something like a flash, which is a form of like lighting, expose their face. So yes, they do pack it on a little bit more than every day. Maybe next time you do your makeup and you use quite a lot of product, think about, when was the last time I was papped?
I want to keep this as is, just looking fresh and healthy and skin-like. So I'm going to go in with 2 products to set my under eye because I'm high maintenance when it comes to my under eye and everything else in life. So this is the Kat Von D palette right.
So what would be interesting to see is how much powder she uses now versus how much she used before, because maybe it means that an excessive amount of concealer means you would need an excessive amount of powder, which it does. Jesus Christ, that's haircut. Whereas before, she said that it stopped her under eyes creasing just using that small amount of powder and a little bit of concealer. So what's changed from then to now?
Here, I'm going to go in with the middle shade, which is a yellow base, and I'm going to mix it with the Bare Minerals Well Rested. This is a powder made for the under eye. Makes you look very fresh and very rested. I'm just going to take my brush and put a little bit of both onto it. I take it in the inner corner, and then I just bring it down inside the nose, and then back up right there on the very top of the cheekbone, because I don't want...
So that's quite a nice amount of powder. It's not too much, however, remember something. So do remember, when we're packing on product, we are applying a denser coverage. So eyeshadow, we pack on because we want a heavier coverage of eyeshadow. If you're blending like this, you're going to get a lot softer application. If we're packing like this, then that's literally what you're doing. You're packing and pushing. Was there something on this brush? when you're packing and pushing that product into the skin. So if you want a light coverage, just a light dusting is what you need, with more of like a softer application.
Right here with Morphe. Palette right here with Morphe.
You know what, just saying something really quickly, I would love to see this, you can't see what I'm pointing at, but this white bit down the side of her nose, I would like to see that taken across or gone completely, because now it's given the impression of a really tiny snatched nose, and her nose isn't big anyway, so it'd be nicer to have that nose not look as tiny in the center of her face. Contouring your nose isn't for everyone. Remember guys, if you have a small nose already, bear in mind how that is syncing with the rest of your face, that it looks crazy small compared to the rest of your face, which I think is kind of what we're getting at here. Let's move that white back, you know.
I'm just gonna grab 2 shades and literally just dust it in my crease. Windshield wiper motions back and forth. I'm looking at myself doing this in a mirror that's like 4 feet away from me right now. I can barely see what I'm doing, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to put this all over. This is like literally how models do their makeup, and I don't understand how they do this like all the time. It just looks so perfect, because for me, I'm like, this is the quick, effortless, like running out the door, 10-minute, maybe 15-minute look, but I cannot get away with this every single day of my life. Like, I need more than just this, but somehow...
That looks great on her. That looks really great. She does amazing eye makeup, and that looks great on her, but this... She has these bright bluey green eyes. I can't see, I haven't got my glasses on. And colours like this, like these warm browny oranges, look incredible. That looks really nice on her. Some mascara or some lashes just with that would look fantastic. So what was really great about that, it kind of gave the impression that excess product is definitely a trend that's come around in more recent years, and that was actually one of her videos that was a little bit less on the excessive side, and she still achieved a really smooth look. So it does just go to show that you don't need to bake, you don't need all this other stuff to achieve that smoothness, especially around the eye area. You don't need that much product, and actually it kind of just looked the same as all her other makeup. So it's kind of a lighting kind of situation. What she did back in 2010, 11, I can't remember, is actually still very relevant today. These are techniques that you can use to get a nice coverage, a nice smooth finish, and not have to use excessive product. This is a really great one to watch. In terms of if you do like that more fuller coverage, I feel like this will look a little bit more acceptable in real life, outside in the real world, compared to some videos that you get now where it's a lot of baking and a lot of product. Alright guys, well thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you are all well. We're coming to the end of another week. I will be here for you Sunday and Monday, and then Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. It's always like that. Some people are like, you haven't posted in forever. It's like I posted a day ago. But yes, thank you so much for joining me. And let me just remind you guys, this video was all about the makeup, and that's all. Thank you so much for joining me guys. I will see you Sunday. Bye.